you read the back cover of the book, there's a quotation. And this piece ends with that quotation, so it's kind of like, I like this part. Travel is a drug. We feel its vibrations and it calms us. We live for those vibrations in the car and the night, and it'll probably kill us one day, but none of that really matters when you're driving that fast. None of that matters when you're chasing the sun. And that very brand of monotony lulled me into a sort of cathartic drowsiness, like a depressing come-down. No matter the strength of the hit, no matter the scale of the vibration, eventually the road melts your eyes like gravity pulling in both directions. Highways are so predictable, so devoid of anything interesting at night that the lines, they become sheep, and you count them, 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 and you count them. Until you're almost dead. So my eyelids began to squeeze together, and although the intelligent decision probably would have been to pull over and to take a nap, I had a deadline. You see, there are no extensions for the sunrise. It would come and go with such a lackadaisical indifference to whether or not I saw it that I had to push through. Even if it killed me, I would keep driving south. Even if it killed me, I would run away from whatever I was running away from and get to a new place, wherever that would be, and everything would be better. Makes sense, I think. But just as I careened over the yellow line, mostly asleep at 70 miles per hour, I saw the faintest hint of something not black to my left. There was no sound, because Aiden wasn't snoring. There was no touch. The road felt smooth. There was no smell. The car had been cleaned. There was no taste. My mouth was dry. There was just sight and me, now wide awake. For the sun had said hello. So there in the dark, I realized that black does not actually exist. Even without fire, there are stars. Even without stars, there's the moon. Even without the moon, there are the illuminations behind our eyes. No matter how pitch the black, there is always light. No matter how vigorously we emphasize the dark, no matter how sternly we attempt to blend in with it, no matter how energetically we lock ourselves into our own voided rooms, the light will find us still. It'll seep in through the window, and if we pass the window, it'll come in through the crack under the door, and if we pass the crack, it'll simply come sweltering from within. For this is why we worship the light as God, and why the sun has historically meant so much. So from there on out, the car just floated the entire way there. It simply hovered above the pavement, only touching down for brief moments like a weightless astronaut bouncing on the moon. When we arrived, I didn't want to miss the sunrise, so I yelled at Aiden to get up. "Get up!" I shouted frantically while taking the key out of the ignition. "We're about to miss the sunrise," I said. But he wouldn't respond sternly and only grumbled something about, "No, it's okay." But it wasn't okay. I didn't have time for him to wake up from his dream. I had my own to finish. So sprinting onto the boardwalk, jumping over a possibly locked gate, falling down and scraping my knee, crawling back up towards the Atlantic, hobbling all the way to the water's edge. I wet my feet only to my ankles. I sunk down deep into my spot, and there I watched the light turn on over America. And all of the eyes of the beach were upon me, staring at me from tip to top, which is to say that really no one was looking at me because I was the only one on the beach, but the point is that I envisioned myself the only one on that whole road of sand reaching downwards towards Miami and all the way up towards Maine, and yes, the whole right cliff of the eastern shore was bare, only me and the sand like an ancient and obtuse cross, my hair for the sky, my feet for the floor, empty forever to the right and empty always to the left. So I sat there, sitting idly, waiting, knowing that I had made it in time. And I noticed the moon still saving face, still showing until that very last moment. And I love when the sun and the moon are both visible at the same time, when they come to a truce like soldiers on Christmas Day. You see, they need each other, both sides. Good and evil, night and day. The sun and the moon, yin and yang, left and right, truth and falsity, up and down, happy and sad. And if only it were true, that old adage, opposites attract. If only opposites were in fact like magnets, but usually they're not. Usually they're in opposition. And rarely, very rarely do they ever coexist. But when they do, in the early mornings on the beaches of North Carolina, when the sun and the moon are both glimmering ever so faintly in the sky, let me tell you what, there is absolutely nothing more beautiful. So it came, the sun. And it wasn't so garish that morning, but rather shone itself humbly and evenly. See, there's no particular moment during a sunrise that is superior to any other. It's a gradual beauty, a wandering and lingering happiness that shakes all the fickle thoughts from our minds. The sunrise demands our attention. It's the only thing. The light. But I wonder, when does it stop grabbing our attention? When is that exact moment when it stops being a sunrise, stops being beautiful, and transforms itself into an average sunny day? The type of day we are so used to and therefore treat so irreverently. Honestly, I'm not really sure. But either way, it came. And I sat vowing just then to see the sunrise, always and in all places. Thank you very much for coming tonight. I appreciate it.